I'm enamored by everything. I'm like a child on Christmas morning.
Hey yo, welcome if you're on the YouTube with us live or if you're going to be watching um,
Yeah.
or if you're watching this later. I didn't realize that it will play an ad before you are able to join us. So we probably won't see anybody right away joining the
Gotta love
live.
those ads.
Oh, so yeah. So if you just played an ad, or if an ad was just played, I should say, and you now are here, welcome. You haven't missed anything. Sorry for the ad. We don't know how ads work.
They just appear.
Yeah, YouTube likes to put ads up like that. But this is going to be our year in review for Get Taped. If you have no idea who we are and you suddenly were served this link, and so you clicked over to, hey, what are these two people doing? We own a taping service here in Atlanta, Georgia for actors. It's called Get Taped, appropriately named.
Yeah.
This is our step and repeat.
I feel like we're at some sort of sports
Yes.
question. Like, yes.
Should we? Yeah, either a post-game press conference. Yes, you from USA Today.
Yes.
Or we are actually live commentating. But would it be a raucous sport like football, or would it be a quiet sport like golf? Or
I couldn't keep my energy level low on golf.
By the way, we're going to stop this IG live. And anybody who's still watching, join us on the YouTubes. All right, we're going to end that now.
Great.
Okay, so let's get to it because I know most people will probably end up watching this on the flip side when it's sort of on the channel. So we're not going to like wait around for people to join us or to comment. We just want to kind of get through our agenda.
We'll answer any questions that you put in the chat.
Yeah, or people did sort of fill out our survey that was on our YouTube page of what they wanted us to talk about, and we'll make sure we talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll get to it. So, how would you summarize, Brooke, 2025 from Get Taped standpoint as a company?
It's interesting because I just see people come in and I see people get taped and then I see people leave. I will say that it seemed like a very steady year. There were a few weeks where it was extremely slow, and that's to be expected with how the industry is in flux at the moment. But I saw a lot of commercial auditions this year, almost an abnormal amount.
Yeah, more than usual.
Yeah.
At least more than usual of people coming to us. That's one thing that's hard to discern because sometimes, especially for commercials, people like to tape those at home. They don't feel like it's worth the expense of coming to a taping service.
That's fair.
But even with that, we saw an uptick substantial. So that means that there had to have been more commercials this year.
And I also saw larger roles, people coming in for larger recurring, whether it's guest star. We had a few at the very beginning of the year. I feel like we had some people auditioning for some series regular roles.
Yes, which we're seeing that more in the Southeast, the access to those big roles. Quick side story. Actors, I've been guilty of this myself, where you find yourself getting mad that so there's a new series that's shooting out in Wilmington, for instance, and we're past the series regular auditions for things like Will Trent because we're into the 4th season. But you take a new series and you see that series regular role or that top of show guest star role that you get to audition for. You don't get it for the same episode, though. All of a sudden you get another audition, and it's a little bit smaller, but still maybe guest star, maybe it's not top of show. And then you don't get it. And then 2 episodes later, you get another audition. Now this one's not a guest star, but it's 3 scenes. It should be a guest star, right? So you're complaining about that. And that's a valid complaint. And you don't get that one. And then another episode goes by, you get another audition. Now it's definitely co-star because it's only 1 scene. It's maybe an expendable character. It's only an occupation. And you are now mad. You are angry because like the next one is just like police officer number 3. And you're just like,
I went from auditioning for a series regular.
Yeah, how have I fallen so far from grace? And you think that casting suddenly hates you because they're only sending you these tiny roles. Like, what happened? What is the deal? It's very easy to spiral. And it's just like, that's the nature of how a season unfolds from a casting standpoint. The big roles happen up front.
Yeah.
And especially like the ones that are going to recur over 3 or 4 episodes. And so the only thing left after they've gotten through those first couple episodes are the occasional top of show guest star but it's mostly going to be those co-star roles. So,
And
check
then you
yourself.
also have to think about that, especially if you're auditioning for a season that's the very first season or the pilot, where you have to make that decision of, do I want to throw my hat in the ring? Because if I do book this, this is my shot. This is the one time I get to be on this show. And there might be something larger down the road, and you have to decide if the show has already been released, if you feel like you're part of the world, then that's something to contend with, of knowing that there might be something down the line. Or if you're like, well, I don't know if the show's going to last, I'll take whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we know someone, when Drop Dead Diva was out and they were in the pilot episode, but they made the opening montage. So they were seen every single episode.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't audition again because they were that person.
Yeah. Like when I booked Walking Dead in season 11, we were just talking about this because we got fan mail over Christmas.
It was so sweet.
Yeah. And if that person is watching, we will be responding. Yes. And I had the cast director, Lisa May, call me because she wanted to be clear and upfront that even though they had given me sides for the audition, there were no actual lines scripted for the character. And so I thought, well, that's fine, because it's season 11 of a show that the ratings had peaked. There were still a lot of rabid fans, but this is probably my last chance. And so I was willing, like Brooke said, to kind of do the math and take that risk. I really appreciated Lisa May calling me specifically. I thought she was like going to be like, hey, you're going to have to like show your butt or something like that, where it was like compromising. But she just was wanting to take care of me as an actor.
Yeah.
And to give me that out of like, hey, you can say no to this.
Yeah.
And so that is a calculus that you have to do. 6, 7. Is that, I think I just did that. I don't know. We're old.
I'm slorbed. Really quickly, let's answer this question. Any books you recommend for actors?
Gosh, 25 years ago when I was starting this, those books were slightly different. There are still some, tried and true.
Has a really good one.
Audition, it's called, by Michael Shurtleff, Shurtleff.
Yep.
There's only so much in terms of craft that you can learn. I mean, Meisner's book, Meisner on Acting, was considered a classic for people who subscribe to the Meisner philosophy. It's an interesting read and will give you some really good perspectives on the craft of acting. But acting is experiential. So what you look for, I would even suggest, is to get into the history of cinema. Like, in the same way that a surgeon might have to learn the older methods of surgery as they start to learn the more state-of-the-art things, so too actors, I believe, should learn the history of this art form. And it is such a fascinating history, dating back to the silent film era, into the talkies, and the formation of the union SAG at the time. Now it's SAG-AFTRA. And so that stuff that is just concrete, factual information, I think that's great. Any other ideas?
I think that there's some really great books, like Truth and Comedy is a really great book. Yes. And that is geared towards improv, but I feel like it also kind of gets to the heart of, you have to be truthful in all that you do.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of my things.
Yes. So if any other books strike us, we'll definitely throw them out there. We'll just randomly shout them in the middle of this.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Man's Search for Meaning. Okay. Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
Great. So what we want to do is get to this year in review. We'll kind of go through this quickly. If there are questions for people watching live, please type them into the chat like people are doing. Otherwise, we'll kind of go through our agenda. And the first thing I want to start with, I have my little cheat sheet here, are the numbers. Let's do the numbers. And I'm going to go back to 2020 in terms of how we as a business have changed or grown. And I'm not going to give specific like revenue versus expenses. We're not going to do our taxes live on YouTube, but I'll give you sort of percentage changes as we've seen. And this is aggregate taping income. So anybody who comes in for an audition taping, that might be a Zoom taping or a Zoom reader. And we've offered that this past year. And in 2020 to 2021, so 2020, of course, was a down year, especially compared to 2019. And 2021, understandably, our income rose 69% for taping. This doesn't include the classes that we offer. This is just taping actors. So that's expected, because 2020, so much of that was we were in lockdown. So then the numbers become maybe a little bit more interesting from there. From 2021 to 2022, we saw a 35% increase. And we did raise prices this year, but these first numbers that I'm giving are all the same prices, same price structure for our tapings. So there was a 35% increase in 2022 over 2021. 2023, the year of the strikes, the dual strikes, we did see a hit. We were down 22% in that year compared to the previous year. And understandably, we rebounded a little bit in 2024. We were back up 23% from the previous year. And so this is not like a linear growth. This is from year to year. And here's the interesting number for 2025. So many actors individually, and your experience is valid because it's your experience, feel like this is a lost year. So few auditions for whatever is your bread and butter, whether it's TV, film, commercials, maybe even voiceover. But we as a business saw a 20% increase in our revenue. Now, we also did raise prices. So then I looked at the number of tapings, and we had about 100 more taping appointments this year than last year. So even though the 20% and mixed in there are, did people book more 40-minute appointments or 20-minute appointments or 10-minute appointments, which we're not going to break down that. I think it's just interesting to say we as a business did see more people coming through our doors than last year, in the tune of at least 100 more than the previous year. So that is not to make you then feel suddenly panic that, oh gosh, so it is a problem with me. It is a problem with my agent. That could be a conclusion that many actors come to. And that's not the point of us sharing that. It's to hopefully just, give some sort of balm or counter narrative to what we so often want to tell ourselves, because we're in that vacuum of only our experience, which is, oh gosh, I only had this many auditions. And then you see the doomsday articles and AI is going to kill the industry and mergers. And I don't even know what a merger is, but apparently it's bad for the industry. So you start to tell yourself all these bad, negative things. And so we just wanted to kind of say, hey, from our perspective, which we have a pretty good pulse on the Southeastern industry here in the United States, things actually were steady, if not growing just a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, commercials could be partly to not blame, but attribute to that.
And I think that it's really hard for someone who is not around it day in, day out, to not understand that we would see people in a category for like, a couple of weeks, and then we wouldn't see those people for another few months.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to know that when they come in, they're like, gosh, has it been slow for everyone? It's like, well, we've been busy. And then that's not a good thing to say, because it's been other categories, other demographics.
Yeah. And that's, it's a delicate question. We really do try to provide a space here. And if you're not in Atlanta, come visit us sometime when you are in Atlanta. But we try to provide a space that is not only safe for you creatively, but also is encouraging and optimistic, so that when you do ask those tougher questions, we try to give you the most even key or level-headed, neutral perspective. And so if you ask that question, like, has it been slow? We're not going to lie to you, because we understand that for white male late 40s, it might be slow for a protracted period of 6 months, let's say. But it might be like really jamming for 20s African-American females. And so in which we could look at those numbers like, oh yeah, our actors in that sort of category, they've been coming in twice a week during that same time frame. And so it is a sort of a perk or privilege of being on this side of the taping businesses. We don't tell ourselves those bad narratives as much, because if nobody who looks like me is coming in, then I don't care that I'm not getting an audition. I mean, I care.
But you wouldn't know if you weren't
exactly
in the forefront of audition.
So we welcome those questions. We don't always have the best answers.
We try to put them in the scuttlebutt. Well, you do, just to kind of give a temperature of what's been seen that week.
Yeah, if you don't subscribe to our newsletter, the Scuttlebutt, there should be a link in the show notes below where you can. It's a newsletter that comes to your inbox every Monday morning. You can unsubscribe if you realize, oh yeah, this is not for me. But we try to put like a video in there and sort of tips and trivia and how the last week was and anything we think is kind of be coming around the corner. And speaking of that, well, we'll get to 2026 in a second. Let's talk about another question I teed up in the survey ahead of time that seemed to have a lot of responses were problems that we see with actors that get taped. And thankfully, there's only one person on our list of who ghosted us. We always get like 2 per year. I think last year we had 2 who just ghost us and then never respond. So that's not what we're talking about. Thankfully, there are so few of you out there in this industry, at least here in the Southeast, or who end up at least booking appointments with us, that are the dine and dash type, or the book it and never show up type. So what are we talking about in terms of problems?
We're talking about whether it's unpreparedness or false thinking or other problems that we see are expectations being dashed, but those expectations possibly were not needing to be set in such a way to be dashed.
Yeah. So let's just I have a little bullet point or list of bullets here.
Yeah.
It's bullets.
Hey, bullets.
All right. So they're actually boxes. They're not like the bullets.
Let's check one off.
So lack of script analysis. And this is tied into something that I saw an acting teacher out in LA post, which was actually a repost of a casting director in the UK who was casting something for Judd Apatow. And after the first round of tapes being submitted to Judd for his approval or what he was thinking, he basically, and this is me trying to remember, but paraphrasing, he was like, why are these actors so perfect? He wanted to see more of the dirtiness of, this is an audition. This is not a polished performance. If you show me the finished performance, there's something psychological that can happen. In other words, if you don't do the blank backdrop, but instead you have like this perfect cinematic background, a brick wall with a sort of a spotlight over to the side. And you've got stuff in the foreground, midground, and background to really create a 3-dimensional image. Well, then you start taking away my participation as the viewer, as the casting director. You're giving me too much information. First of all, I might be more distracted by your lighting, but second of all, now I think, oh, okay, so I either take it or leave it on this. So this is all you can do because you spend a lot of time polishing this turd, because that's because you can't polish a turd. And sometimes that's what an actor is trying to do, is they don't work on the substance, the thing that is in the middle. And so you end up trying to polish a turd by having this amazing background, amazing camera that you spent $3,000 on. Spoiler alert, you can use a phone with just a bed sheet and just some nice lights. Truly, that is all you need to present yourself in a way that won't be distracting to them. And so it becomes about the substance. And by substance, we don't mean memorization. I mean, since the last contract negotiations, you see it in every single union audition breakdown, which is performer not required to memorize lines. Now, I get it. We all think, but
I'll get a leg up.
Yeah. And if I don't, the next person will. Or if 9 out of 10 actors are going to memorize, then now I have to memorize. And it's like, no, you're leaving out an entire middle ground. And this is where the training and the script analysis comes in, which is the ability to cold read. Thankfully, that's one of the skills that just happens being a reader every day, all day. And so us and our staff get that benefit of becoming expert cold readers. And it really is a skill. I've had numerous occasions over the last 15 years, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Brooke, where by the second take, I'm memorized on my reader lines. And the actor, I've had it happen where the actor goes, wait, are you memorized? Because they know, they just handed me the script. They did not email it. They did not send it to us ahead of time. And now they're freaked out that they aren't as good at memorizing as I am, or Brooke, or whatever. So I actually will intentionally look down at the script, even when I know my next line, because I don't want that actor feeling self-conscious. Even though I might be able to give them a little bit more eye contact, I don't want them thinking, oh my gosh, he's not looking down. I barely.
And then it almost might feel like it's a competition of who memorized the lines better.
And that's one thing we don't want happening, is especially if you're in my category and I'm reading with you, and I may or may not have been sent the same audition, and we try to not have that happen where I'm reading with another actor who we have the same audition. But there's a lot of white males in their 40s that come in to get taped, and I might be taping them. And so I certainly don't want to feed those flames of comparison or whatnot. But it's just a skill that doesn't seem to be valued as much nowadays. I mean, when I started, that was just like beaten into me. This idea that you have to be able to be handed a script and within 5 to 7 minutes be able to breathe life into it while holding it, of course, and not getting every word perfect. Who cares? But being able to make choices and bring that character to life in a very short amount of time. And I think actors, would you agree, Brooke, that most actors just focus on memorization? And then if there's time left over, okay, then maybe I'll start looking at the stage directions and the breakdown. Yeah, and doing my script analysis. And then we like to complain, and I'll put myself in this pool about the 48 hours and that's just not enough. And a lot of the productions are violating that. And they do have conditions where they're allowed to violate it if it's a rush job or if it's replacing an actor. So don't be so quick to vilify casting for that.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, if you don't have those script analysis and cold reading skills, perhaps that's something to put on your to-do list for 2026.
And I'm really excited. I searched high and low for a gentleman that I learned his technique back in the 90s. It's the only technique, line learning, script analysis technique that has really stuck with me. And granted, I've kind of shaped and formed it over my how many years since then? I don't even know, because I can't do math. But I tracked him down, and he is coming here to Atlanta to do his workshop. It's a 3-day workshop. It's a Friday night introduction, Saturday work, Sunday work, and I'm gonna take it because I need a refresher. And I'm just super excited because his technique is something that is so creative and so tangible to every single person, no matter where they are in their journey. And the script analysis is a bonus on top of it.
He, for those of you who know about the Sam Christensen process that we run, he came to an event that we host follow-up events for the graduates in the community that are free, and they're always free. And we brought him in to just do a little talk before Christmas on our December call, and because we did it over Zoom. And I had never met this gentleman, Ken, and Brooke of course, had talked about him prior and was really excited about bringing him on. And just from the 45 minutes that we really talked about his philosophies, I got really excited. And I've been doing this going on 25 years. And so like Brooke said, for anybody in any stage of this journey, because it can feel like, wait, line learning technique, why do I need 3 days for that? But it's more than just, memorizing words. Yeah, I could give you some articles on like the memory palace, and you can go figure that out. I don't need 3 days. This goes well beyond just the actual like putting words into your brain. It's the journey through it,
and it's really fun.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing. It's a workshop that's truly fun. It doesn't feel grueling.
And just imagine that, Brooke, actually enjoying the process, because I read a lot of like self-help, empowerment, success newsletters and books, psychology books, and time again, it's process, not product. In fact, I just read something today about studies that show that if you set goals and if your only marker is the finish line, you'll be less likely to accomplish it than if your goals are more about process, if they're process driven. It's why building habits is probably a more effective way to improve your life than to say, I want to be a millionaire by the age of blah, blah, blah. Instead, if you say, I'm going to set a habit of every time I get a check, the first 10% goes into a savings account that I'm going to make hard for me to access. There's no bank card that comes with it. Like that will get you closer to that $1 million faster than just putting $1 million on your vision board. Creating systems and habits. In fact, James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, says we don't rise to the level of our abilities, we fall to the levels of our systems. So it's like whatever system you have in place or don't have in place, that has more effect on your success than whether or not you are capable of doing that thing.
And I've created a system, or I've learned a system through a gentleman named Tommy Newberry, and you can search him online, Tommy Newberry. He's a coach, and I've been working with him for 2+ years, and it's really changed my trajectory of how I think about my goal setting.
Yeah, we can credit the entire Brooke and Matt show
exactly
with Tommy Newberry and Brooke sort of embracing that, because I did not have a system in place for sort of creating progress in a side venture like that. I was, and arguably still am, very distracted by our businesses up here. And I was neglecting this one, Maven, which is the name we give to all of our creative endeavors. Like if you ever saw our Becky and Barry web series back from 2010 to 2015, but now the Brooke and Matt show, that's the umbrella that we do that under, is Maven Productions. And that was being neglected. And because of Brooke and her commitment to Tommy Newberry's sort of coaching and that system and the systems that he encourages his clients to put in place. Yeah. Now we have an entire season of a sketch comedy series under our belts.
Yeah.
Acting is a journey.
It really is.
Learn to enjoy the process. Yes. Thank you for that. So that's a blanket bullet point, which is the whole like lack of script analysis, lack of what was the other part of it?
Yeah, the memorization.
Memorization. People
like
focusing. Like if you're focusing on that, then no wonder when you get one word wrong, that's your measurement of the audition. Because you focus, you put so much effort into, I have to be off book. And again, like I said before, you're leaving out an important middle ground, which is being kind of off book, but holding the script. Or in the self-tape world, you can put the script on a table in front of you, because you can't see this piece of paper unless I hold it up. And so, and if you're good, if you are schooled and trained in script analysis and cold reading, that was the other word I was looking for, then you can pull those lines up off the page seamlessly, never breaking stride, never breaking character, never feeling anxious or panicked that you're going to miss that moment. And it's, the cast director will never know that you were still on book. And so a lot of actors are missing that middle ground. And so we see that time and time again. That's nothing new. That's not new for 2025. That's just across the board. We have time management in here. A lot of actors, because this factors into that experience in the room. And what expound upon time management?
Yeah, I feel like I suffer from this, because whether I'm here and then I have an audition, and then I basically am switching gears from doing something in the office and then going in to lay down what I hope to be an audition that is worthy of being given an avail check or a pin or anything that's of substance. I'm not giving myself the time to switch gears. I'm not giving myself the allotment to arrive on time. I mean, we're now getting into some in-person auditions, whether it's and Zoom is different because your time management is their time. So you're just waiting, needing to go at a drop of a hat. But the things that we can control, arriving to if you're going to a taping service, arriving 10 to 15 minutes early so that you aren't feeling rushed when you go back into the room. You have time to use the restroom, do a little last look session in the bathroom. But even time management with setting aside time for your devotion to this industry, this craft, whether it's reading one of those books that we talked about, whether it's taking a class, whether it's setting boundaries around your day to be able to make sure that your materials are updated. So a lot of it is your time that you are investing. So why don't you manage that well so that you get more bang for your buck?
Yeah. There's something called attention residue, which if you've ever been reading a book and someone interrupts you with a simple question, hey, sorry, I know you're into that, but what were you thinking for dinner? Right. And then you answer the question and you go back to the book and you have to reread 1 to 3 sentences before you're back in. And then you're really not back in it, because like there's this piece of you that's still thinking, they're going to ask me if I want dessert. And so you're kind of only half in it, right? You cannot. We think we can multitask. And by all means, prove me wrong. But when you try to switch gears like that, and especially for something that presumably you have a lot of interest in, it's at least a hobby, if not your life's work. you want it to be your life's work, this journey of being an actor. And if that's true, if it's something that you hold on a pedestal, which we'll talk about that in a second, that you want this to be what is on your tombstone, that you were an actor, then yeah, why would you not give yourself that benefit of better time management and not subjecting yourself to that attention residue where you're still thinking about getting here. You're still thinking about the traffic because you haven't had any actual time to transition from the outside to the inside. Now, for a one word or a non-speaking commercial, I get it. That you don't need a lot of as much focus, as much presence as you might need for that 5-page guest star role. And that's for you to manage that. But we do see people, showing up 5-10 minutes into their appointment, and it just really compromises the work they're able to do in that remaining time. I love this question. What do you think about using a teleprompter? And that kind of goes back to the cold reading and whatnot. What do you think, Brooke?
I personally fear teleprompters. I am a bad teleprompter reader. So to me, I would avoid it at all costs, just because I've even told my agents, do not send me on any jobs that require a teleprompter.
Yeah. So there's that, right? The jobs. And I used to make a pretty penny before I joined the union doing a lot of hosting gigs that required teleprompter experience. And I loved it because it was so easy. You showed up, it was right there. They could edit the script on the fly. It didn't matter. You just had to get pronunciation on certain words. There's this word that Chick-fil-A uses, Kanban. I think it's called Kanban. But you're like looking at that for the first time going, wait, how do I pronounce that word?
But as far as auditions.
Yeah, for auditions as like a cheat, it's like at your own risk.
Yeah.
Because we see people, and we've seen people over the years do that brilliantly where you would never know. In fact, while they were doing it, I got the sense that they weren't actually reading from the prompter. And then when we watch playback, like, oh yeah, they were 90% memorized. It was basically, they wanted to be able to look at the script, but they didn't want to look down. So they just wanted it presented in case they had to. Problem is, at least the way that we would do teleprompter is if the camera is here pointing at you, the viewer, then the screen is next to it. And we just used a laptop when we used to do this. And I would just be scrolling with you, which means you're looking at the back of my head. And actually, you shouldn't even be looking at me at all. You should be looking at the screen if you need those lines. So it just means that you can't actually connect with the reader in any way whatsoever. So there's this loss of connection that happens, which some actors are still really good at that. And because you might argue, well, when I have 4 characters in the scene, I have to create, I have to create all these fake. So it's really a thing on that falls back to you of your preference and your talent with, or your skill with the teleprompter.
Yeah. Because there is a skill with teleprompter to make it look like you're not actually reading it.
Yeah. And you're like,
you don't want that would be me. So therefore, that's not something I enjoy. But I say, hey, if it's going to help you to make sure, I mean, you book something where you put it on a teleprompter. So
yeah. And then the director was gushing over my read. I'm like, oh. So basically, you're just telling me I am this person, because I didn't have time to put anything into the audition. So it was literally just me oozing onto that SD card. And which that's a discussion for Sam Christensen, which you can come to our free preview next Tuesday over Zoom, where you can learn more about that. That's a Zoom call where we talk about the Sam Christensen experience. It's a 4-day workshop. But we'll maybe tag that at the end of this, because we do want to get through this and not make this a really long thing.
Sure.
But the next, let's see. Oh, yeah, this next bullet point is about, I think alluded to it on one of those previous diatribes I was on. As you those who know me know that I'm prone to do. You wonder why there's not more Brooke in the videos, is because I usurp the oxygen.
We could jump to this question.
Thoughts on where you see the film industry next 5?
We're getting to that though. Right?
Yeah, we'll get to. We will definitely get to that. The sort of the outlook.
2026 outlook. Yeah, we have that on our list.
But let's just kind of blaze through. These next 2 are related, which is placing too much importance on an individual audition, which starts to point towards where's your identity. One of our previous videos on this channel, which our marriage counselor, our pre-marriage counselor, gave us this acronym, And spoiler alert, it is a Christian marriage counselor, but this acronym is applicable no matter whether you're an atheist or you are a believer, or if you're just spiritual and not religious, wherever you fall, doesn't really matter. It's LAWS. Where do you get your laws? Your love, acceptance, worth, and security. Because even if you go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once you've satisfied the basic needs, which if you live in a first world country like the United States, there's a really good chance your 5 basic needs are taken care of. Now, there's a lot of food insecurity in this country, but if you have the margins to be pursuing this career, there's a really good chance you've got those 5 basic needs taken care of. So then you start getting into these higher level needs of importance and love and acceptance. So where do you get that, right? What satisfies those 4 things? Your love, your sense of feeling love, right? Feeling accepted. When do I feel worthy? When do I feel secure? Security. And for a lot of actors, and this is not unique to actors, it's just that if you are an actor, it is so easy to start to place all of that on this thing, right? It's not a person. And for those of you who are religious, it's not even a God that you believe in that is a, you know, a person, so to speak. It's a thing. It's an amorphous thing that you are placing your worth on, a thing that doesn't care about you. I like to say that the industry is a horrible lover. It's a bad friend and a horrible lover. It does not reciprocate, at least not in the timeline that you want. And so if you're placing your sense of worth in your audition numbers, or whether you book that audition, or whether you think casting likes you or not, then you're going to lose the mental battle. And then your endurance will peter out, and you just spiral. Yeah, and then you'll find yourself falling back on that fallback plan. But
then there's like this ebb and flow of, then you get that audition
and you're back.
Yep, that brings the importance back.
It's like Marty McFly when his hand is disappearing, right? It's like no auditions, no bookings. Oh, I'm disappearing. I'm nothing. Oh, hey, suddenly I'm back, and now I'm going to start playing Chuck Berry. You know, Marvin, it's your cousin Marvin. Johnny B. Good. So yeah, just be careful with that. That's a huge topic for another time. But we do see that, right? A lot of people coming in and like with those big eyes of like, I have to book this, or they're so despondent because they haven't booked anything in X number of months or years. And you just got to be careful.
Yeah. Where are you placing your worth? Your laws.
And then going along with that is the fear, right? Because you're placing so much importance, you fear your agent. You fear saying no to an audition. You fear, right? Like there's so much fear. And that's something that we try to be, you know, this beacon of light, this encouragement for people who come into our studio.
To dispel that fear.
Yeah, to try to replace that fear with something. And even if it's just us sitting with them and acknowledging where they are, because we can't book them. No. We can't be the person who does that, but we can be that encourager who at least maybe recalibrates a part of where that fear is coming from, and leave them feeling a little bit more, oh, okay, so I'm okay. Yeah. In fact, we like to put on the mark on the piece of tape where you stand, says you got this. And we've had people who are like freaking out and they look down and they go, oh, yeah, I got this.
I got it.
And you know, it's just a little piece of that encouragement.
Yeah. I think we talked about that.
Yeah. Oh, this is the one last thing that I'll say about looking back before we start looking forward. What's so weird, because we also offer classes, so we're very interested in the actor's journey with training. And we talked about it before about cold reading and script analysis. But what's so interesting from a business standpoint is slower year. I could argue that if acting is my life's work, then okay, since auditions are slow, I have plenty of time to commit to classes. And here's the thing, there's not a lot of actors, at least in the Southeast, that are relying on the bookings for their income. It's a very small percentage of actors who actually rely on the income from their bookings as like more than 50-60% of their income. And so, you know, by saying, oh, you know, it's been so slow, I don't have the money for training, I'd just be interested. You know, I'm not going to sit down and ask somebody to open the books, but I just don't, based on the anecdotal information I have, living here in Atlanta for over 25 years and running this business with Brooke for 15 plus years, that just doesn't track. And so it's just this interesting psychological thing that when it's slow, when there are no auditions, no one wants to train. One of our friends who's a teacher had the same thing happen back in September. He called me up. He's like, I can't, this is the first time I'm not able to fill a class in all the years that he had been doing it, even through the lean years of like COVID. This is the first time I can't fill a class. And it was just so interesting. And we had the same issue with some of our classes where improv was the only thing, boom, yes, and that seemed to continue to attract people. But we had trouble with our Sam Christensen workshops. And it's just interesting that with a slowdown in the industry, and maybe it's the despondence of the industry is dying, what's the point? I'm not sure.
And I know that when I'm in classes, because I don't take just our classes, I take other classes and other studios around town. I do know that when I'm in a class, I actually I have to miss a class because somehow or another I booked something because I'm doing the thing. I think that also kind of relates to what we've been doing this past year. Like we've been doing the thing. And we've been learning the other side of this industry as far as producing and all that goes into the behind the scenes. But when you are in class and you're doing the thing, usually that shows up in your auditions where it's not, I'm showing you my technique. It's that I'm showing you that I'm ready. And if you hire me, I can come to set tomorrow and I'm not going to be freaking out because I haven't been on a set in 2 years.
Yeah.
Or I haven't been in a class in God knows how many years.
Yeah, there's that, right? The fact that training or doing your own content gives you those reps, but also, and all of us have some sort of like weirdly coincidental story around, and it might be the Murphy's Law of like, if you haven't had an audition in 6 months, just book a vacation because you'll get an audition due while you're gone. And everyone's had that happen, right? But also, it's like when a woman has a baby, I mean, or if the father, of course, it can be involved, but a lot of times it's the woman when she has a baby, suddenly she is now trying to reconcile her career, which she cares less about. And now all of a sudden it's like playing hard to get. Now the industry wants her. And so many women that I've talked to over the years who after they had their baby and they recalibrated where their priority was, which was my child. And now that they weren't putting that industry up on this pedestal, looking for that love, acceptance, worth, and security from the industry, and they were getting it from something else, now the industry came to them. And so there's something to be said for when you are distracted by something, whether it's the training or whether it's like with us,
hobby.
The Brooke and Matt show, or a hobby, that when you start to release the grip on the industry, somehow that gets noticed. Somehow
it's attractive.
Yeah, because on the flip side, when you are holding it with those hands, it does somehow subconsciously bleed onto your tape, even if you don't think it is. We sense it, we smell it. Casting can tell that you just seem a little too, and that's I think what Judd Apatow is even talking about. Like, I just need them to relax and stop caring so much and let it be messy. Let it just be organic. Don't try to hold on to something that you think is supposed to be perfect. It's okay. You know,
because if anything, he should be the one that's freaking out because he's got to please the studio and all of the things.
Well, yeah. In his master class that he did, he talked about that in the casting process. He is nervous because think about it, millions of dollars that have been given to him to make this thing, whether it's a TV show or a movie. And he doesn't know. Every writer doesn't think that they are good. And so here you are, it's too late to turn back and you're not sure if your script is funny enough because he's of course mainly doing comedy. And so you have all these doubts. And if actors come in with doubts going, is that good? Is there anything you want to see? Then for someone like him, who's going to be neurotic, then it's just like, oh, great. Now you're just feeding back into my own neuroses that this isn't good enough. The script isn't good enough. I'm not good enough. Now we're all just not good enough. And no one wants to make anything. An actor walks in with confidence saying, hey, I have some ideas. I'm going to present them in this collaborative way. I'm not going to be a douche about it. I'm just going to come in here and show you what my ideas are. I would love to be a part of this. Like that reads. You don't have to schmooze and try to warm up the room, which is why it doesn't really matter if you're in person or on tape. they sense it. They sense that collaborative spirit, the fact that you are excited to be a part of this project. And it starts to take some anxiety off of them. Like, oh gosh, okay, so I know if I cast this person, they can handle that. They can take that off of my plate. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Cop number 3. I can now start to focus on this.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
Let's move to 2026. And
Great.
that way we can kind of, we definitely want to wrap this up within the hour. We're not good with these lives. We've only done like 1 or 2 before. So
yeah, let's do it.
What do you think about 2026, bro?
I am excited about 2026. I feel the rumbles of things being shaved down, like kind of pruning, if you will, or like snipping off the garden of things that aren't growing so that other things can bloom. I really recognize that in that pruning, in that kind of cultivating, it has hurt. And I think that this has been a year of that kind of planting, making sure that nothing's too crowded. I do think the streaming services with all of the mergers and everything, they're doing their due diligence to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And in figuring it out, I think that we'll start to see hardier projects.
Ooh, hardier.
Yeah.
It's like a manwich.
Yep. Sure.
That's what I think of when hardier. Yeah. But I agree. Brooke and I are usually on the same page about just about everything. Sometimes not dinner. Sometimes we're not on the same page about dinner.
That's true.
We haven't talked about dinner yet tonight. But so generally speaking, we're optimistic, and partly that's to be contrarian to all of those people out there who want to say that, you know, AI is here to take all of our jobs. And while I am sort of cautiously, you know, watching the evolution of AI specifically within our industry, and by the way, I can't speak to VO. Like I know, like Laura was on here, and she does a lot of VO, and so, you know, we can't speak to the VO side of things. We have our dear friends Mike and Heidi at AtlantaVoiceOverStudio.com and ProVoiceOverStudio.com. As far as we're concerned, they're the authorities on that. Certainly here in the Southeast, if not beyond. So for TV, film, commercials, you know, like Coca-Cola did their all AI commercial again this year. I think they updated the one they did last year, and you know, they've got these new toys, and they at the same time they realize, like, ooh, like with the SAG-AFTRA strike from 3 years ago. Can you believe it's only been 2 years really since the strike ended, and we're back into negotiations starting in the new year in February, I think is when we start. You know, we already were sort of trying to put some safeguards in place, and nationally there have been some moves to put some guardrails on AI as it relates to human likenesses and stuff like that. There's so many nuances that I'm certainly above our pay grade, but so I do think it's still something to be aware of, to learn about, to maybe be curious about. But like everything, like politics and everything else that's going on, to not immerse yourself in it if all it's going to do is spiral you into negativity and into a doomsday scenario. That doesn't help you, especially when it's something that if you feel like you cannot affect it, then why put so much of your time and energy into it if it's not something that you can affect or that you're willing to affect? Because, and I'm not going to make this a speech about the union, but if you're an actor, and again, you want this to be your life's work, then joining the union should be in that journey somewhere. And part of the privilege of joining the union is you actually now get to affect change. We just had what's called our working and wages meetings for SAG-AFTRA, which is where the locals, somebody like me, can voice my ideas for what needs to change. And then if it gets seconded in that meeting, then the entire Atlanta local now is going to present that as a possible sticking point or deal point for the upcoming negotiations. So I, Matthew Cornwell, I can actually affect change on a national level if I'm a member in good standing, and if I show up, and if I voice my opinion. And I actually didn't voice my opinion on anything. First of all, because during the meeting I was driving, I was on the Zoom, and I just didn't want to try to do anything unsafe. But also, I'm the type of person where if I am not willing to raise my hand, then I can't complain, right? Like if I'm not willing to affect the change, then I'm not going to be guilty of being one of the ones that sits in the corner grumbling. I'm like, oh, man. That was a really bad improv, by the way.
That was we've done
come
done
learn
better.
come learn improv from us. But anyways, the point being that we feel more neutral to positive about things, even AI, because first of all, stories aren't going anywhere, and I think so much of why I go to see a movie or a television show, even though I personally don't like award shows, the cult of personality that surrounds that movie, I want to go learn about that person now, who maybe I've never seen before. Or I can't wait to see that person again because of the interviews I've seen, and they seem so cool when they did that actor on actor interview for Variety or the Hollywood Reporter or whatever. And so if you take that away and you try to make an entire movie with AI or even just a single character, like I'm just not going to care about them.
Yeah, and Laura just mentioned that they are coming back to human actors and voiceover, which is great because the bots can't connect with emotional impact like real people.
Plus,
I agree.
And plus, we're still at an early stage where the people doing the AI, like actually putting the inputs, it's still laborious to try to get what you actually want. And so to get something to be at the level of like Avatar in terms of the quality of the image, it still takes a lot of human artists to accomplish that. Yeah, and the AI
money to do the AI stuff. Yeah.
And while that will, move faster than probably any of us will predict, I'm just not ready to jump into that camp of the sky is falling. And even as it relates to the mergers, I know my friend Alex asked about that, like our opinion on like with the Netflix or the Warner Bros. Discovery merger with who's going to get them. Is it Paramount or is it Netflix? I don't even know the latest on it. And it'll be 18 months before it goes through regulatory things. And I'm not going to get into politics about that and who's behind this and that. Bottom line is, less companies, less projects. And so that is sort of on the surface bad for actors. It's good for consumers because I'm overwhelmed with all the streamers and all the options. So I'm torn as a human because as a viewer, I want less options. I kind of miss those days when it was kind of obvious. You turned on network or cable. And then if you subscribe to HBO, right, you got a few extra premium shows. But having 500 choices every time I open up my different apps, it's overwhelming. And then we end up defaulting to just the popcorn stuff.
Yeah.
And then it comes time for the awards, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't watch any of those. What, I've never even heard of that, and it won 7 Oscars. Like,
which will make me go want to watch it, of course.
Sure.
But I do think that what's intriguing to me is that when I have done people's reels in the past and they send me footage from a show, I'm like, I've never heard of the show, and I'm sad because you were great, and I want now. And then that show has already come and gone. So everything is just like a fleeting moment. I think we are long gone are the days of like Friends or Seinfeld. I don't want to say that they're long gone. I think that there's still hope, especially with some network television, if we can start to not just do reboots of everything. But I recognize that the shrinking of all of the content is going to make it again hardier and meatier for the content that does come out, and that will be those will be some shows that I think people are really going to cling to, and they're going to be saving graces like Glee was for a lot of people. Like I think we're going to come back to the shows that actually were the shows that saved people's lives, like Buffy. A lot of people felt like Buffy the Vampire Slayer saved people's lives. So I'm hoping that we kind of can get back to that. And if we can be a part of it, great. If Atlanta can be a part of it, fantastic. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to not trust that what I have as a gift to be able to continue to give to some of these other shows that might be on the fringe, I'm still going to do my due diligence to do it.
Yeah, because with all of this prognosticating, that's a fun word. I'll circle back to that sort of where are you placing your identity? Because if a lot of this scares you, I get it, because if you want this to be your life's work. But again, if you're going to place your happiness and all of that in something that you can't control, And here, Brooke and I, our business Get Taped relies on the industry, and then our other income is being actors. So, you know, we're in it. We're in it 100%. And so here we are saying, hey, whatever happens, happens, because we've done some of that hard work to uncouple ourselves from the industry as something to be worshipped. We don't worship the industry. And what we did sort of with that sort of creative spirit that we still are filled with, and again, going back to that Tommy Newberry discussion, is channel that into our Brooke and Matt show. And, you know, not a lot of people have watched it, sort of realistically. Our shorts that we put out, yeah, some of them hit like 28,000 views, but the actual sketches, not a lot of people watch it. And I get it, because a prophet's not welcome in their hometown, right? And so even though our network is mostly locals in Atlanta, weirdly, then those are the people who don't watch it. And I'm fine with that, and Brooke is fine with that. We're, you know, we have our goals behind the scenes of where we're taking the show, but really it's satisfied that creative urge. And so instead of me wondering why so-and-so hasn't called me in for another audition, doesn't matter, because I'm too busy writing, shooting, editing, trying to get those sketches out for those 4 people who are going to watch it on the first of the month, you know,
which is our moms.
Yeah. The people who like those true cheerleading fans of ours. And so that is where we find our fulfillment. And it truly was fulfilling to do our own thing, such that, yes, while I tracked what was happening with the industry, because like I said, we are in 100%, we weren't beholden to the whims of something that, again, I can't control and that does not care about me. And so that's where I would sort of start to leave this as we start to wrap things up.
But stories will never die.
No, they
That
won't.
is something that that will make everyone individually go insane. We need stories. We need to be able to have that connection. And so that will never die. Whether they turn into something different, like verticals.
Sorry.
I feel like verticals are like me with pickleball. Pickleball.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, those things that you're just like, that's not my taste. I'm not for that. Well, then I don't have to watch it. I don't have to experience it. I have that choice.
And then one last thing, because I know Alex loves to talk about this, which is if 2025 was slow, and if you're worried about 2026 being slow, you know, that is a relative thing. If you're going to ask somebody like us, hey, is it slow? Like, that's a very difficult question to answer, because, like, for me, as I start to move up to bigger roles, I should expect less auditions. And my agent is still so great in terms of they don't try to discern for me what I should and shouldn't be auditioning for. They're not a manager in that respect. So I'm still seeing a lot of auditions, but I do turn down a lot of stuff, because it's just like, somebody who's at the beginning of their career needs to book that role. I don't need that on my resume anymore. And sure, I would like the extra income, but if it's one day on set, let that person who is more in need of that, building a resume, getting experience on set, let them have it. And so in terms of what I actually audition for, that is slowing down. But that's also part of the natural progression of any career in this business, at least, is that you should start to expect less auditions of greater importance. So just be aware that that question of, is it slow, is a relative question. There's several factors that go into that.
But I think now, you know, is the time to get materials in order. Casting.com, if you're not on it, jump on it now to the 31st. So I guess by Wednesday, it's all free to upload every single piece of media you ever have dreamed of in your entire life for free. To be able to get set, because we have heard that will be replacing some of the other actor sites, and you can be set and ready to go. If your agent is on it, make sure that you know what their code is so that you can link your profile to your agent. So that's a way to get prepared for the new year.
And I see your comment, Laura, about the SAG-AFTRA contract now for verticals. I'll wait and see, because like when I joined the union and that there was talk of like, oh, you can convert like industrials using the one production only to still hire union actors. No, it doesn't happen. It's very rare, and it becomes more work than it's worth in many instances. And so there's just, even if it's one piece of paper, that is enough to stop so many people from moving forward going union. So hopefully more of those verticals go union, but that's one place I'm not very optimistic.
Yeah.
But speaking of the 31st, if you are interested in our offerings, we have 2 deals that are expiring midnight as the bell drops.
Or the drones fly.
Or the drones fly if you're in Atlanta, because they're going to do a drone show.
Yeah.
If you want to do an in-person improv class with us, because like I said, that is our sort of flagship class. It has been this year. We've had so much fun.
Co-teach it, so
yes.
You get 2 teachers for the price of 1.
Yeah, combined. I love when people do combined 50 years of improv experience. Like, what does that mean? You know, it doesn't really mean anything, but it's true. We each have like 25 years of experience with improv, or she has more than me, so aggregate it's like 50 years. In person starts Wednesdays. Yes, in January, so the 7th.
For 8 weeks.
Yeah, and normally
it's on sale right now.
Yeah, $75 off. So check out the show notes to click over to our website. You'll find in the in the classes page for the improv class, which we call
Get Loose.
Get Loose. $75 off, but only if you act on that by the 31st at midnight. And if you are interested in the Sam Christensen process, but maybe you know about it, but you're like, I don't know the dates. I'm not sure if your January dates are going to work out. Because like we have one coming up MLK weekend, and then a virtual, that's in person, and then a virtual one the following weekend. And you're like, those don't work. If you still put down a deposit for a 2026 workshop, so it's a $50 deposit that's required. And if you do that by the 31st, that deposit will be good for any one workshop in 2026. And by locking that in before the 31st or before the new year, you would be knocking $75 off of your balance. So both of those deals are $75 off, and both of those expire when the ball drops.
When the ball drops.
When the drones fly.
Yeah. And then I believe the workshop that we're having with Ken Grant, the line learning script analysis class, will be the 6th to the 8th of February. We're working out those details.
Yeah.
We're letting each other have a vacation.
Yeah.
Where we discuss.
So best way to stay in touch with us in terms of those offerings is the Scuttlebutt, our newsletter. Again, you can check the show notes, how to sign up for that. Yeah. Oh, and then we're probably going to do another live next Monday, maybe next Monday.
Based on something completely different.
Yeah, the Brooke Matt show.
Yeah, and kind of like what we've learned and what we wish we could have implemented, or something that we're like, if only we had. We'll talk about our experience with that. So if you are interested in kind of the behind the scenes of what we did,
how much money did we spend? How fast did we write? Like, what was it like? How many people did we involve crew-wise and in writing and in editing, stuff like that? Yeah. So that'll be on our Brooke and Matt show channel. But again, if you're already connected to us, you'll get that information when it comes out. Happy New Year, Paul Sherman. I saw you.
Is this something that we're good for?
Nah, I think we're good.
I did see, when are we open this week? You are always welcome to do a waitlist appointment, because if we happen to be here cleaning or something, we will take appointments, but we're going to try to make sure that we kind of put appointments near each other. So we'll try to conform that, but we will be closed on the 1st for everyone to have their, what is it called? Hoppin' Johns. Hoppin' Johns.
They're hopping?
Who does Hoppin' Johns? Who does Hoppin' Johns? It's black eyed peas and collard greens.
Oh.
It's for good luck.
I thought it was some sort of weird version of Papa John's.
No, Hoppin' Johns.
I thought it was like some sort of euphemism for being hungover.
No, but that'll be on the 1st. So like a Friday, we might, if you get something in, but we definitely will be open on Saturday.
Yeah.
Ja'Cory will be here on Saturday, the 3rd,
3rd, whatever Saturday is.
But then we will be reopen regular, all the things on Monday.
Just ask. When in doubt, just ask. The waitlist feature is a great way to indicate what you are hoping for, but you can also email us if you have a special request. We're just trying to, because like Brooke said,
Not many people have auditions this week.
Yeah,
so.
And we don't want to like come in for one person on one day and one person on the next day. If we can keep things a little bit closer together, we're just trying to protect our staff, who have
Yeah.
limited availability this week, and us
Yeah.
who are still on vacation.
Yes.
So-
Vacation is great. We hope you had a wonderful holiday as well.
Yeah. And thank you for joining, those of you who did and who might be watching this after the fact.
Yeah. Happy New Year
Yes,
to you
happy
too.
Happy New Year, Laura, and all of those who are watching.
Yes.
And we'll see you either here or not.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know. Where are we going to see you?
Yeah.
We'll see you somewhere. Great.
All right.
Bless you all. Good night.